Hi, welcome to Shrink Apt. I'm Allison Colarosi here with my husband, Dr. David Colarosi, and we are here to answer your questions. But mostly my questions, usually.
Yeah, we have been heavy your questions.
Yeah.
So leave us questions in the comments, and we'll try to respond to them.
Yep. Also, you can check us out on podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay.
So it's the day before Thanksgiving. So I know the standard Allison question was going to be, what are you most thankful for this year? And my answer will be family and food and health.
I didn't even get to ask my question.
Okay, now you go. What was that? Was that your question?
That was my question. But why did you take it from me?
Well, okay, now what are you thankful for? I should have wanted to cut you off. I feel like you're going to have a much more robust answer than I am.
I had a list. I had a list of things I'm thankful for. Number 1, I'm thankful for Shipt shoppers.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
During this year. Because they've been a lifesaver. And essential workers.
So, yes, but don't you feel bad? I mean, I do feel, think about it this way. Like, we're saying they've been a real lifesaver because they've saved us time, not going to the store, and they expose themselves versus us having to expose ourselves. Doesn't that feel... there's a part of me that feels bad about the idea that we're sending somebody else out there to brave the COVID storm while we sit, at home.
I do feel bad about that, but on the flip side, I feel like it's all these gig work things, like dog walkers and stuff, are like they're jobs for people that may not want to work in a typical environment or like to have their own hours because they're mothers and like to go to the store when they're already going to the store, or so I am very appreciative of gig workers and that type of personality that likes to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's
all right, good. Okay, good. That's one. So I had family, food. I had family, food, and health. So you have gig workers. What else?
I mean, I have obviously family and friends. I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom, but that's been a lifesaver because it's helped me keep my job.
I know. I wish we invested in Zoom.
I know. I also am very appreciative. And you might want to ask why, but I am so appreciative of the hypocrisy of the self-righteous.
You're what?
Okay, so
hold on, the hypocrisy of the self-righteous.
Yeah. And they only become self-righteous after they're hypocrites. So I've been watching, we live in Denver, Colorado, and I've been watching the news constantly with Mayor Hancock and also Governor Polis being like, stay home, do not travel. 1 of 4 people have active virus and are contagious. You should probably stay home. And, I am making my turkey for the 4 of us, and my cat or whatever was saying. And I was like, you're right. Like, I really miss being with family. I have a big family on Thanksgiving. This COVID thing has been heartbreaking to be away from my family. And so, a couple times I've been like, well, maybe I'll just go out to California. But then, I listen and, that's not the right thing to do. And 1 in 4 people are contagious. I don't want to bring it home. And then I find out that Mayor Hancock, after all of that, boarded a plane to Chicago.
Okay, so you're happy that he got. So what you're really thankful for is the social media environment that catches the hypocrites.
Well, no, because I feel like, and I don't know if you can articulate this, but I feel like I want to break the rules with this COVID thing sometimes.
She wants to break the rules about everything.
I am a little bit of that. But I also, but I don't. And I always feel like, I always wonder about the people that can, really stick to it, the rules and everything for the greater good, and they talk about it, and then they go and board a plane. It cracks me up. Or, Gavin Newsom doing that same thing, no large gatherings, and then showing up.
I don't think he should, but I read that it was his party. He's the governor of California. It was he He says, stay at home, do your own thing. And then he set up a party for a friend at a restaurant. I believe that he was actually I believe he did set up the whole thing.
Well, and then on the same token, I mean, we're not one-sided, so I want to, bring up...
I know, so that's my only pushback for you, is I feel like... I mean, it is amazing when you have a YouTube channel. The amount of pushback you get from people if you even, like, hedge in the political world. So if you say, I'm happy that these self-righteous people that are hypocrites are getting caught, I think you have to also be able to give examples on both sides. And just know that even if you point to both sides, you will get pushback from both sides that your both sides argument is unfair.
But wouldn't you say that I'm not very political in general? I'm, like, in the midst of just, like, I'm the worst. I just don't know what's happening. I'm ill-informed.
Well, I feel like you are, and I think I am this way too, but you more than me. I think you have a lot of vitriol pointed in all directions, but I don't know that you have, like, the interest to, like, you're not, I don't feel like you're that concerned, like,
I'm not.
You're not concerned, you're not really concerned with either one side or the other, but you don't like either side.
That's true. I think I don't. I used to like politics, but I have a really hard time because it's so negative all the time. And I feel like I watch the news and it brings me down. And I feel like we're never going to get out of this. And so I always feel like, number one, you can never believe what you hear anymore anyway. On the news. I feel like either news organization is tied to a political side, which is so unfortunate.
Yeah.
I do listen to NPR, though. I try to get
They're left.
They are left, yeah.
But I do feel like they're, at least in my eyes, they are well-intentioned left. Sometimes CNN feels like it's not well. Don Lemon doesn't feel well-intentioned left. He just feels left.
Yeah.
I feel like NPR does their best to present, that's my perspective.
Well, and either way, I am not.
Okay, so here's the question. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. You said, I am grateful for the people that are hypocrites getting caught being hypocrites.
Yeah.
And then you pointed to two people, both on the left. So can you give examples on the right of people being hypocrites?
I think Trump's a total hypocrite.
How? In which way?
I feel like his whole, like this weird tax thing, like he doesn't show off his taxes, the dicey stuff he does with Giuliani. Like, how long is he going to hang on to this office?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, I got so many thoughts there, but...
So why do you think it's so emotional for people? That if we say, it's both sides, that both sides, I mean, I got feedback on the last political video I did from both sides, people yelling at me for being too in the middle because that was inherently...
I mean, what are you, though? You're not in the... You're like... I just feel like you're disgusted with it all, just like me.
I do think that I am. I think you are. I mean, I think I would, just like everybody, we would all say that we're in the middle, right? But depends on how we actually vote. But I would say that I feel like I'm pretty socially liberal, fiscally conservative, like everybody. But the question is, what do you use to make your vote?
Well, here is what Brene Brown would say. Like, we pick one thing, and then we're supposed to pick a party because of it. And I think you've said that before, too. Like, one thing in the party, we're like, oh, that works for us, so then we have to vote that way, even though, like, nothing
right
about the party you feel like you identify with, and then it makes you feel lonelier. Because, like, you don't really identify with that party or those people. Right. But then you gravitate to those people, and you demonize the other people. Yeah, yeah. And that's what Brene Brown would say.
Yeah, I think it's called. I haven't read that.
Braving the Wilderness.
No, I don't remember her talking specifically about that piece of it. But I think that would be it's like affiliation bias. I mean, first of all, you get yourself into a group, and then we naturally believe that we're like people in our group. And so next thing you know, if you are, for example, if you are pro-life, you're all of a sudden in the Republican, the Republican world, and you have to align with everything else that Republicans are into, and all that a Republican stands for, right? It's like this one decision about this one thing has this implication, socially, that's pretty ridiculous.
By the way, I resent that. I resent being put in a box. Like, I resent it so much I can't tell you. And I feel like we need to figure this out. Because it makes me I'm an educated woman that's disinterested.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I identify with any party. Yeah.
But I think this is interesting. And this is different than the typical fare of this channel, but I'm curious what you think. So why is it so emotional? Why this election cycle in particular, why is it so hard for us to talk about politics without getting emotionally engaged in it? Why are we boarding up windows in the event that the election goes the wrong way and people start destroying Denver?
I really feel like, number one, social media, like, what was that movie that we watched? The Social Dilemma or whatever?
Yeah, so good.
I believe that's exactly, we have like little things in our computer telling us thoughts, and then we get emotional about it, and then we're addicted to it because of like whatever the dopamine constant flood is.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I feel like when you do the psychological assessments on me, I'm high non-conformity, right? So like I won't am I doing it right? I won't be put in a box. Like, I don't. And so I feel like it makes me emotional when someone tells me that that's who I am or that's how I have to think, because then I feel like I push back on that. What do you think?
No.
Can you explain what it is for the listener, because I butchered that?
I'm just not sure. I know what nonconformity is, but I'm not sure if your answer... I think your answer to the question of why this election cycle is so polarizing, so emotional, your answer is, well, because social media has created an environment in which we think the implications are bigger than maybe they actually are. Is that what you were saying?
No, and Brene, we think they're bigger. That's one thing. Plus, we only get fed stuff from our side, right? Like, if we start looking at something, it's going to only... And people actually think they're researching additional information from their same device.
Right.
No. You're not.
Right.
You're only getting what the algorithms will allow you to get. But I think in Braving the Wilderness, Brene Brown was saying, then we identify with a group.
Yeah.
Or we think we do partially. And then that's our team, like tribalism.
But I guess my back to the original question is, why we've always identified with the team. We've always had... Fox News has been around for a long time. So has CNN. There's always been this polarization. Why are we boarding up windows this year?
I feel like people are self-righteous.
Why? Say more about... I think that part of this conversation is interesting. Why the self-righteousness? Why... Like, in my estimation, this year, politics, the last 3 years, or I guess 4 years now, politics has become much more morally oriented than it has ever before. Now our interpretation of somebody voting for Trump or not voting for Trump has implications for the next 70 years, and it means something about who you are as a person.
Okay, I have a thought. Okay, a long time ago, I remember, like, critical thinking scores in general have gone down in society, like, because of how we're educated or something. I don't think that's true, but... That's not true. Okay, I don't know. My mom, like, says stuff.
IQs have progressively gone up.
But what about critical thinking? Does that correlate with IQ?
It correlates. I don't know what measure... I'm not sure that... I don't know about that data.
Or maybe... I don't know. But, like, I kind of feel like what has happened is critical thinking. Like, people like to be told what to do. My group does this. We are better because of this. I am better because of you. Because I'm better than you because I do this. So, like, remember my niece talking about her dad virtue signaling? And then
tell that story. Because he may listen to this. This would be good. Go ahead. You just know that you're talking to your brother.
So my niece is so cute, but we were on vacation together, and she was talking about her dad, and that her dad was wearing a mask, but then like to open the door of the house decided to put the mask in his mouth because he didn't have any hands. That's the only story, but and she called her dad a virtue signaler.
But it's like, keep going. So what is your point?
My point is that people are signaling what their virtues are out loud to the world.
Okay, but why? I'm wanting you to think about why. And I don't have an answer. I'm just like that. I think that's interesting. Why this year? Do you agree that we're doing it differently? Do you agree that this year this has become more of a moral conversation than it was 4 years ago?
I mean, I feel like this year we've had a lot of, some social unrest, I would say. And so then society is kind of forcing you to pick a side in the social unrest. Like, either you believe the Black Lives Matter movement or you don't. Or you believe, like, there's systemic racism in our police forces, or you don't. Like, and if you don't, then you're on that team. And if you do, then you're on that team. But there's no real, like, and you need to show your support very loudly on either side, so you can identify with your team and be part of a group. And it's basically be part of a tribe.
So you think it's because of, I mean, I guess there's a couple things you've mentioned. You think critical thinking has gone down. So I would argue, I guess I would agree with you that that our attention span has changed. So I don't know if critical thinking I would probably argue that critical thinking probably hasn't gone down. I think that the amount of information that we're able to digest and act on now is better than it's ever been before. But as part of that, as part of our ability to filter information, I think we're probably getting less sophisticated or less comprehensive in the way we understand one single piece of data.
Do you remember Jordan from Alone, that one?
Yes.
He's my hero. He said something that really resonated with me. And he's like, now with all the devices and things that we have, like we don't need to think deep thoughts anymore. Like, there's no way that we're going to be, because we can always distract ourselves from things that are hurting us or bothering us. We just pick up a little dopamine surge. Yeah. We don't
self-reflect anymore.
No, so I think that's very profound. Like, I wonder how people's thinking would be different if you made them sit and just think without being bombarded.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, can I give you my explanation for why I think this has been such a nightmare of a year?
Yeah.
So I think you're right as far as we are never before have we been as invested in our devices. Never before have we been integrating this kind of information. And I think when we do that, the outcome of that is a lower self-esteem. I think that our populace in general has less ego strength and is less happy than ever before. And then you throw onto that a president who is quite chaotic. Then you throw on top of that a global pandemic. Then you throw onto that economic issues. Then you throw onto that George Floyd. I mean, you just sort of create a list of like sort of individual traumas for our country. And I don't think from a sort of starting point we have good ego strength. And so I think that makes people desperate for stability. And I think the way that we find stability is by joining these teams. And so we get cultish and we're so invested in our side in an effort to create some stability. If the right is correct, then the coronavirus is not as severe. And we can dive back into business and get things back to the way it was. If the left is right, then social justice is important and we can change the laws and protect people. And if everybody, quarantines and they really quarantine, this pandemic will end quickly. And I think we'd sort of scurry into our respective protective homes and then throw rocks at the other one because we feel like the other one is undermining us. And so I think in that way, in that sort of panicked effort to protect ourselves, I think our critical thinking probably does go down. And so we're super reactive. And any extra data, any oppositional data, we dismiss and attack.
Yeah. I like that. You did a really good job explaining that. So...
I do want to talk about, so I'm always asking my family, hey, what should we talk about on Shrink Wrapped, or what should I do a new video about? And I have two sisters-in-laws, both said that I should do a video on Harry Styles and his Vogue magazine cover.
I think that dress would have looked really good on me, by the way.
So I go, oh, that's a great idea. So I go look it up. Harry Styles wore a dress for Vogue. He's the first man on Vogue to wear a dress.
Why is that is that just transformative? Or?
It's like an absolute zero for me. I don't understand. I can't even figure out why anybody cares about it. Well,
I don't feel like he filled out the dress correctly. They could have, I feel, well, I mean, I'm coming up with things to talk about it, but like they could have really tailored the dress to fit him better. It just looked like an ill-fitting dress to me on him.
So I will tell you, when I was thinking about bringing this up during the podcast, that's not the direction I thought you were going to take it, but I guess there's probably room to grow as far as how it fit him.
So here is what we can say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was a female model, there would have been tailors making sure that dress fit tight so I feel like he really got discriminated. I'm serious. They would have made sure that dress looked amazing on a woman. They did not do that for him.
Oh, well, I think a lot of people thought he looked really good in that dress.
Oh. Well, I feel like they could have done a better job making it sure it fit better.
So I looked up, I go like, well, what's the outrage about this dress? And there's Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are up in arms.
Why?
About the dress. Well, it's like they're up in arms, and then the left's response to them is to be more up in arms. And so we have this sort of arms battle of people talking about something that clearly no one really cares about.
Why is the right upset?
The right is upset because they feel like culturally we are drifting in a place where masculinity is being undervalued. And so Candace Owens wrote, "Bring back manly men," on Twitter. And then the left, posted pictures of Brad Pitt or whoever that was dressed in dresses and said, they're still masculine. And then Ben Shapiro, and the left, it kind of said back to, and I mean like the left, whatever that is, but people that presumably are more woke than Candace Owens said, just because our clothes are a social construct, and just because you wear a dress doesn't mean that you're inherently less masculine. And then Ben Shapiro, I think, I would probably argue that he's right, said, clearly Harry Styles wearing a dress is an effort for him to be provocative by dressing in a way that is not traditionally masculine. And then the left is sort of, baiting the right to holler about that so they can tell the right how it's not important to be masculine. So Ben Shapiro was just kind of complaining about this sort of merry-go-round that we're on. That is all I could find, but I would be curious in the comments. Tell me, why do people care about some guy wearing it's like a zero to me, but he wore a dress on the cover of Vogue. By the way, his new album's coming out, and he's got a lot of traction. Probably has something to do with it too. He got a lot of views, a lot of Harry Styles views lately.
Is he LGBTQ? LGBTQ? I know I missed a few letters. Can you help me?
I think you missed an I.
Okay.
That's good. And I and a plus. He is. I think he's gay.
Okay.
But I'm just not a One Direction or Harry Styles fan.
Okay.
I think he's a talented guy.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, here's the negative. It doesn't make me want to buy the dress.
I don't think
which is important in Vogue, because Vogue is a fashion magazine. So it's like, I would think it's like to celebrate fashion for women to go buy, but I did read an article or listen to a podcast, and Marc Jacobs was talking about like fashion's dead. And so maybe Vogue has to be more in the issue, more provocative, because like fashion can't keep the pace of our materialistic world, and so he believes it's like now sweatpants forever.
That's kind of what that's your that's your quarantine look, right? Stretchy pants.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's good. We're good on time. Anything else?
No. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.